billion a year.
Question number 2, Louise Upston.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, what will be the main objectives of Budget 2011 tomorrow?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the budget will set out the next steps in the government's plan to build faster growth and more jobs for New Zealanders, and to turn around forecasts of significant debt on the government's books. In particular, the budget will focus on building faster growth and national savings, setting a credible path back to surplus, and rebuilding Christchurch, at the same time as protecting the most vulnerable New Zealanders and improving frontline services.
Supplementary question. How will the budget build faster growth around higher national savings?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the budget will take a number of steps to ensure that more of the growth in future savings is not based on the government borrowing money for incentives and subsidies. The budget forecast will also show stronger economic growth forecasts with increases in the number of new jobs and in real wages. It's essential that this growth is driven by the private sector. Since the mid-2000s, too much of our growth has been driven by excessive government spending and housing speculation.
Louise Upston.
How will the budget set a credible path back to surplus and repaying debt?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the budget will take a number of responsible and balanced measures to better target large government programs to those most in need, and also to ensure that public services deliver better value for taxpayers. In fact, we'll be taking a lot of the steps that New Zealand households and businesses have already taken over the last 2 or 3 years.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Speaker, to the Minister, will he be keeping his promise to New Zealanders in tomorrow's budget not to cut KiwiSaver? And if so, how does he square that with the effective $10 a week KiwiSaver tax increase he has already announced?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the government has kept its promise to New Zealanders, and I think in July we'll be paying out hundreds of millions of dollars of tax credits into KiwiSaver accounts. Any changes we make will not affect people until after the election, and they'll have the opportunity to express their views on that in an election, and I'm sure they'll take into account the overall picture that the government needs to get on top of a very large overdraft, a very large deficit. It's making balanced and responsible decisions to get it under control.
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, if it was the Minister's intention to seek an electoral mandate for those KiwiSaver cuts, why did he not campaign on them in 2008? Or perhaps defer them to Budget 2012 if he thinks he's still going to be the Minister, rather than legislate now and pretend he's not broken yet another promise?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I don't quite understand the logic of that. In fact, the National Government actually made one very significant change after the 2008 election, and that is it cancelled 2 tranches of its tax cuts because of the depth of the global recession. So we think it's a pretty straight-up deal. We'll put the propositions up in detail before an election, before it affects people, and they'll have the chance to have an opinion on it.
Louise Upston.
What reports has he seen on public support for the budget's direction?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, this morning, Mr Speaker, I saw an online poll asking New Zealanders how the budget had affected their families. I was a bit surprised to see this question because the budget hasn't been delivered yet, and it might be difficult for those families to be able to tell. However, the results were impressive. 88% of families who responded to this poll were feeling better off as a result of the budget decisions. Can I thank the opposition finance spokesman for running this poll on his own website, which has now been mysteriously removed because of the outstanding results.
Point of order. Point of order.
Point of order, Louise Upston.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I seek leave to table poll results from David Cunliffe's website, which are no longer online and have mysteriously been taken down.
Order. I don't think website material is...
Point of order.
Well,
Point of order.
hear the Honourable Simon
Point of
Power.
order, Mr Speaker. The point that the member makes is a fair one, which is that if it was still available online, your point would make sense. But as the Minister of Finance said, it is no longer available online.
Order. I'll hear it since I...
Mr Speaker, it's very rare that I agree with the Leader of the House and Louise Upston at the same time. I think having the precedent of having websites that have been taken down, tabled in here is a very good one.
I'll leave it to the wisdom of the House. Leave is sought for that document to be tabled. Is there any objection? There is no objection. There is no objection. Question number three, the total edit.